In our conversation with David Drewelow, he takes us on a journey from working in a charity organization to his life with ActionCOACH, and how a national tragic event made him take a detour from hanging out with celebrities to a life and business coaching. Let's get to it. What do you feel are the top key elements or talents someone needs to have be successful in franchising?
After being a part of ActionCOACH for 22 years, I've seen a lot of different things over the years through economic times and good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But those key elements of what it takes to be successful in franchising as a franchisee pretty much have stayed consistent. What I have found, and this was a lot of this came from growing up in a family business. My dad had a couple of different businesses, and I saw him go through some things, and I'll talk about that at some point. They have to have a passion. It's not a 8 to 5 kind of thing when you're starting a new business, even when it's a franchise. So you got to have passion. You got to have drive. You got to have a vision for what you want to do. You have to have the ability to be not afraid to go talk to people, whether it could be if you need to find investors in order to fund your franchise and on the front end, or when you're going out to get clients. And I've seen that as the number one challenge for a lot of people. They don't want to be a salesperson, but yet somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to do that development of the business and the sales side of it. And then I think having a heart. You know, we say people with passion, people with heart. We've said that for years. You have to have a heart. You have to care about what you're doing. You have to care about the clients and the customers and the people, your vendors, your stakeholders, and grassroots economic development. And you're the lead person. So those are some key things that I found over the years that are pretty consistent. And we help people determine if they've got those things right up front, the very first time we talk to them. If they don't, we have some ways to help them think about it, get their spouse involved and that kind of thing. I think those are some of the keys early on.
22 years, what drove you to the business coaching sector, especially in the white-collar industry? What do you feel is so popular and what drove you to it?
Well, actually, I knew nothing about business coaching when I started. I had spent 20 years working for the fundraising arm of the Muscular Dystrophy Association, which was the Jerry Lewis Telethon. Started in a local position, worked my way up. I'd spent a few years in radio, television, the broadcasting industry, and went to work for the Telethon. Loved that job. Absolutely loved it. And it was all about helping people. As I got as far as I could go without going into the corporate office, was around the 18 year mark. I love this job, but I want to do my own thing. And so I started looking. My wife and I started looking at local businesses to buy. We started looking at franchising, franchise businesses. My dad, business owner, was like totally against franchising. He's like, that's somebody else's idea. That's somebody's systems. You're going to pay royalties, all those kinds of things. And I told my dad, I said, look, I'm good at 2 or 3 things, but I'm not good at all the things you need to start, grow, build a successful franchise business or successful business. And I think franchising is the way to go. And so we started narrowing down our search. We actually had a franchise concept that we were going to sign on the dotted line. And I had to delay the trip. It was in September of 2001. And during that delay, 9/11 happened. And it was a business that was in the hospitality industry. And that business was severely impacted from 9/11. In fact, within a year, they were out of business. So thankful, so grateful that I didn't get on that airplane to go to Dallas to sign that franchise agreement. And ActionCOACH, or Action International at the time, was my number 2 choice. And so then I really started digging into due diligence. And I'm thinking, business coaching, I go back to my dad being a business owner and what I remember, what I heard, what I saw when I was younger, and just how I'm wired, of somebody who's always had the knack. I'm the oldest of 8 kids, so I was always the guy they would come to and say, okay, help me get out of trouble, or help me negotiate this with mom or dad or whoever was in trouble. In my very first job as a sales manager of a local newspaper, small town newspaper, I would help people figure out where they are, where they wanted to go, and what's the path to get there. Well, fast forward 40 years, that's what I do today. I'm helping people figure out where they are in life. Are you done with corporate? Are you ready to do something else? Are you ready to be on your own? What's that look like? And then let's work out a path for you to get there. And interestingly enough, William, pretty much everything I've done has been that. So when we started looking at business coaching, it's like, oh my goodness, There are so many small business owners who are just like my dad, who are good at two or three things, but they don't know how to do the whole scope. They're the plumber who decides to have his own business. They're the accountant who wants to grow it into a business and make it into a multi-partner firm. And so coaching became the fit for me. And then as we went through that due diligence and made that decision, it wasn't just to be a coach. At one point, the person I was working with Action was saying, well, you've managed a multi-state territory. You've had multiple offices and people. We want to talk to you about our master franchise model. And so it's like, okay, I've done that. Now, here's the big difference. In the past, when I managed 12 offices with the Jerry Lewis Telethon, it was somebody else's money that was being invested in each of those offices to the tune of about $500,000. And so that was a big difference. That was an eye-opener for me. Coming in, it's like, okay, this is our business now, and we're going to grow it, but also help people and looking for the right people who want to be coaches and to help them learn what it's like to become a franchise partner with us as well.
You've been involved in actually helping people. Not only now that you're doing it now, but even from your days at the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And how did that come about?
I was working at a radio station. I was a production and promotion guy, and did some on-air work on the weekends. And the station needed someone to be their rep for the local Jerry Lewis Telethon, which was put on by one of our television stations. And it's like, okay, that sounds like fun. I was familiar with the telethon because grew up with it as a kid. We had a huge, big festival in our town at the television station. College, I danced in the Jerry Lewis Dance Marathon to raise funds. So I was familiar with the organization. By volunteering, I became pretty good friends with the local team here. And a couple years later, their local executive director was taking a relocation to Texas. And she called me and said, you'd be great at this. You should do this. And so I did it. I started in a local position as a local director. And within 3 or 4 years, I was moving into a regional position. Again, similar to what I do today, recruiting people to be the local person to run the local MDA office for the telethon. And by the time I left, I had a dozen offices in the upper Midwest. And so it was helping people identify, what do you want to do? Now, back then, it was 20-somethings. We hired a lot of kids in college to work as interns for the telethon. We'd have 2 or 3 at every office. And if they were good and they really had that drive, we would offer them a position. And we had positions, of course, all over the country. And so, again, back then, helping people figure out what they want to do, what's this going to look like, here's the path to go. And to this day, there's a handful of people I still hear from that are working for the telethon is no longer, but the Muscular Dystrophy Association is still around. And so I still hear from people all over the country that, we got to know each other when we were in our 20s, which is fun.
I hope you have gained some valuable insights into the world of franchising. Please make sure to like and subscribe and share with your network. Also, click the link below to learn more about franchising with ActionCOACH.